Okay, hi guys, let me get this set up really quick. Sorry, I'm doing this over Zoom. I didn't really know a better way to do it. Let's get right here. All right, so today we're going to be discussing cultural dimensions theory. Move myself out of the way really quick. Okay, so Gert Hofstede is a social scientist from the Netherlands. He's a theorist behind this, and he created a model for interacting with different cultures in 1984. And the model shows the impact the culture of a society has on what its individuals consider important and shows how these values impact people's actions. And the framework was built based mainly on how beliefs and values differ in terms of work objectives. So he created a model that is called the 6 dimensions of culture. And the original idea suggested for 4 dimensions to which culture values can be studied. 1, individualism versus collectivism. 2, uncertainty avoidance. 3, power distance. 4, masculinity versus femininity. And then later added was 5, short-term versus long-term orientation. And then 6, restraint versus indulgence. And he collected data from 93 countries. So the first is individualism versus collectivism. And as you can see, individualism equals I and collectivism is more of a we. So individualism is a society in which the ties between individuals is loose and everyone is expected to look after him or herself and immediate family. Whereas collectivism is a society in which individuals are part of strong in-groups, usually the family, sometimes the extended family, and sometimes the villages of society or a tribe. So when we look at individualism, competition tends to be between individuals, task first, relationship after. So it's more like prioritizing like the task rather than like the relationship behind the task. Low context communication, which is everything must be specified. They have more press freedom, there's higher divorce rates, they are more fast life pace. So even walking on the street, they tend to walk faster. Individualism societies are usually wealthier, and we can look at United States and European countries to kind of describe individualism societies. And then collectivism. So competition is between in-groups or like tribes. Relationship first, task after. High context communication, which is many things are obvious and communication can be short. Lower press freedom, lower divorce rates, more of a slow-paced life, and collectivism societies tend to be poor, and we can look at India, Japan, and Russia. So then we go into uncertainty avoidance, which is the extent to which the members of a culture or national society feel threatened by ambiguous, and unknown situations. So uncertainty avoiding societies are uncomfortable with uncertainty, and they view uncertainty as a threat that must be fought. They tend to have more stress and anxiety. They view different as dangerous, and they tend to like stay in the same job or career throughout their whole entire life. They are afraid of people who look and act different, and we can look at Russia, Japan, and France for examples. So uncertainty accepting societies are comfortable with uncertainty. They view uncertainty as noble and that life must be accepted as it comes. They tend to have less stress and anxiety, and they look at different being like more of a curious thing. Changing jobs is easily done, and they have more tolerance towards people who are different. So we can look at like Australia, United States, China, Denmark. Then we go into power distance, and I added that all societies are unequal, but some are more unequal than others. And I think that could go throughout all of this, but I think it mainly relates to power distance. So power distance is the extent to which the less powerful members of institutions and organizations expect and accept that power is distributed unequally. So when we look at large power distance, inequality in a society is viewed as normal. Superiors are actually superior humans. So with that being said, it's kind of like whoever they choose to be the powerful person, whether it's like for us, it would be like the president, they actually believe that that superior is a superior human. Power comes first, good and evil comes after. So that could be like the same thing with like going for a president. Like we view them as powerful, so we want them leading the country, whether they're good or evil, and we'll figure that out later, like look at it later, worry about it later. When it comes to education, respect is one of the most important things a child can learn. The majority of the society is higher class and lower class. So it's like powerful people, not so powerful people, wealthy, poor. Dictatorship, and we can look at Russia, Mexico, China, and India. So in small power distance societies, inequality in a society is viewed as wrong and should be reduced if possible. Hierarchies are needed to create order. And that is like how we have a president. So we don't necessarily just view them as superior, but we elect them to make the rules. It's the rule of the game. And we need that. Yeah. And then power should be used legitimately, and everyone, top or bottom, is under the same rules of law. And then when it comes to education, they teach independence, so that you should be independent. And then the majority of the society is in the middle class, so not a whole lot of inequality, like it's more equal. And then we look at like legislative, judicial, executive branches, and we can look at Italy, United States, Australia, Britain, and Denmark. So the next thing is masculinity versus femininity. And this is not actually comparing males and females, but the traits behind masculinity and femininity. So masculinity in a society, so assertive and tough. Work prevails over the family, so they put work first, family second. When it comes to parenting, the children are supposed to go to the father for facts and mother for feelings. They admire the strong and they look down on the weak. It's one of those girls cry, boys don't, and boys fight, girls do not. So when it comes to religion, they tend to view just like one powerful God. That's their religion. Usually it's so like not necessarily like Christianity, like that God, but they, like, different countries and different religions have different gods. You didn't know. Just kidding. And then sex is a way of performing. So man is subject, woman is not. They have more functional illiterates, which is people that cannot read and write. And then they blame poverty on laziness. So, and then we can look at Japan, Italy, Mexico, China, and the United States. Femininity in society is more like societies that view the quality of life, so quality over quantity. They balance work and family. You can go to both of the parents for facts and feelings. They are jealous of high flyers, and they have sympathy for the weak. Both men and women can cry, but neither can fight. That's how they view it. And then religion is more based on, so the fellow human being. So they're more focused on the things that are around them and in front of them. And then sex is a way for a couple to relate. And then they have less functional illiterates, and they blame poverty on bad luck instead of laziness. So we can look at Arab countries, France, Russia, Denmark. And we look at short-term versus long-term orientation. So long-term orientation is the fostering in a society of pragmatic virtues oriented to future rewards, in particular perseverance and adapting to changing circumstances. And short-term orientation is the fostering in a society of virtues related to the past and present, such as national pride, respect for traditions, perseverance of faith, and fulfilling social obligations. So when we look at long-term orientation, they view like good and evil are a relative, so they can change. So if they view something as evil, they might change it to, okay, well, maybe this is a good thing. Which norms apply depend on the situation. The superior is someone who knows how to adapt to the circumstances. They're humble about themselves, and they want to learn from other countries. They believe that traditions can be changed, and they also believe solving problems comes from common sense. So this is Japan, China, Germany, Russia. And then we look at short-term orientation, and they view good and evil as always being the same, so they don't change their opinion on good and evil. Fixed norms always apply no matter the circumstance. The superior is someone who is always the same. They seek positive information about themselves. They're proud of their own country. Traditions stay the same, they don't change. And when there is a problem, the extreme is chosen, and that is Israel, United States, Mexico, Australia, Nigeria, and Egypt. And like I said before, there was like, I think 94 countries, but I'm just like kind of going a couple of examples. So then we have restraint versus indulgence, and this one was just my favorite. I don't know why, but so in an indulgent society, they allow relatively free gratification of basic and natural human desires, leading to enjoying life and having fun. And then in a restraint society, they suppress gratification of needs and regulate it by strict social norms. So in a restraint society, they tend to feel less happy and healthy. Even if they aren't less healthy, they still tend to feel that way. And then they believe that what happens to them is not their doing. They have a pessimistic attitude. They're more introverted. They don't really think that having friends is very important. They less sport participation, so they still watch and watch like sports, but they don't participate as much. They have stricter moral discipline. There's lower crime rates and larger police forces, and we can look at France, Japan, Germany, Italy, and China. In an indulgent society, people tend to feel healthier and happier. People have a perception of personal life control. They tend to be optimistic and have a positive attitude. They're more extrovert. Having friends is very important to them. They do participate actively in sports. There's less moral discipline. There's higher crime rates and smaller police forces. And we can look at Mexico, Nigeria, Sweden, Australia, Britain, United States, and Brazil. So basically, it's like viewing life as happy on one side and then like viewing like not happy. I don't know. Okay. So now for the wrap up, and I just put a little chart up so you guys can look at that. So not only does this series explain how different cultures might communicate, but it's describing these societies as a whole and their beliefs and values. And I personally think cultures are so important, and the more you know about different cultures, the better. I think the main thing that this series covers and what we can use it for is obviously learning about different cultures and how to better communicate and understand different cultures. I also think like a fun side of it is looking over which countries fit under the certain dimensions, and the ones that interest you, it might even like spark an interest in traveling to them. And then another thing that isn't as typical, I feel like if you like live in the United States, but moving to a different country for work, and say you did, this model can kind of help you understand what you're getting into, and it can help other countries understand the United States better as well. I think this theory model is awesome, and it honestly has so much research behind it, and I feel like I learned a lot of good ways of comparing certain countries to the dimensions, which helps to have a better understanding of them. And I think everyone should care about their culture, whether it's your own or a different culture, because understanding other cultures will help with communication and understanding how to communicate with other cultures to avoid things like culture shock and miscommunication. You don't want to travel across the world and just offend people because you don't really know their cultural background. So I just think that this model helps you understand different cultures. And I just think that's super important, especially like growing up, getting older. I think the more cultures that you know about, the better. And alrighty, thank you.